And we are back to What Did AI Say? At VickyL-4AI on YouTube. Gratitude is always the attitude. Thank you so very much for coming back to the podcast. We are on episode number 82. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's question. So, what did I ask AI? Going to start with ChatGPT's answer. Is demonic influence real? If so, what does it look like? That's a good one. Okay, here we go. This depends a lot on what framework you're using, religious, psychological, or cultural. People often mix these without realizing it, so it helps to separate them. Okay. 1. The religious perspective. In many religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, some forms of Hinduism, and Buddhism, demonic influence is considered real. Typical descriptions across traditions: temptation toward harmful behavior, encouraging destructive thoughts, division, chaos, cruelty, addiction, obsession, loss of self-control, extreme cases, possession or oppression. Importantly, in most theology, demons are not Hollywood monsters. They are usually described as subtle influences that amplify existing weaknesses, encourage despair, hatred, pride, or hopelessness, push people away from meaning, love, and community. In this view, demonic influence often looks like persistent urges towards self-destruction, sudden intense personality change towards cruelty or nihilism, the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. Okay, we need to read that again. Okay, so in extreme cases, possession or oppression. Importantly, in most theology, demons are not Hollywood monsters. They're usually described as subtle influences that, this is important. They're usually described as subtle influences that amplify existing weaknesses. That's big. Amplify existing weaknesses. Encourage despair, hatred, pride, or hopelessness. Push people away from meaning, love, and community. In this view, demonic influence often looks like persistent urges towards self-destruction. Sudden, intense personality change toward cruelty or nihilism, the rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Feeling spiritually empty, hopeless, or consumed by darkness. But even within religion, many leaders emphasize discernment because mental illness and trauma can look very similar. Let's repeat that. Even within religion, many leaders emphasize discernment because mental illness and trauma can look very similar. 2. The psychological perspective. Psychology does not consider demons literal beings. But interestingly, many things historically labeled demonic are real human experiences. Intrusive thoughts, OCD, addiction, psychosis or mania, severe depression, trauma responses, disassociation, personality disorders. Before modern medicine, people didn't have the language for these, so they used spiritual explanations. From this lens, demonic influence can be understood as the darker part of human psychology, harmful social conditioning, trauma cycles, cognitive distortions, destructive habits that feel external or uncontrollable. This is why people sometimes say, "It felt like something took over me." That feeling is real, even if the explanation differs. 3. The symbolic philosophical perspective. Some thinkers treat demons as symbols of human darkness, greed, envy, rage, cruelty, nihilism, loss of empathy. Ancient cultures often personify these forces because it makes internal struggles easier to understand. Okay. It internalizes moral conflict. It helps people fight harmful impulses. Carl Jung called this the shadow. The shadow. From this view, demonic influence looks like when people lose empathy, when cruelty becomes normalized, when societies glorify harm or domination, when someone becomes consumed by resentment or hatred. Let's read that again. Oh, that was good. It helps people fight harmful impulses. Carl Jung called this the shadow. From this view, demonic influence looks like when people lose empathy, when cruelty becomes normalized, when societies glorify harm or domination, when someone becomes consumed by resentment or hatred. 4. Why the idea exists across cultures. Nearly every culture independently developed demon-like concepts. Why? Because humans universally experience inner conflict, temptation, sudden destructive impulses, the capacity for evil. Demons became a way to explain why do people sometimes act against their own good and hurt others. Let's read that again. Why the idea exists across cultures. Nearly every culture independently developed demon-like concepts. Why? Because humans universally experience inner conflict, temptation, sudden destructive impulses, the capacity for evil. Demons became a way to explain why do people sometimes act against their own good and hurt others. 5. The grounded takeaway. Whether you interpret demons as literal spiritual beings, psychological forces, symbolic archetypes, they all point to the same observable reality. Something in human experience can push people toward self-destruction, harm of others, loss of empathy, chaos and suffering. Different worldviews explain the source differently. Different worldviews explain the source differently. Okay, so Chatgpt says if you're asking from a personal or spiritual angle, you can talk about that too. Many people ask this question because of a specific experience. I actually didn't ask it because of a specific experience. I asked it because of what we're witnessing that's going on around the world. And in my ever searching quest for a solution, an answer. So that is why I asked the question. I always feel as though if you can better understand the cause of something, you can better figure out how to fix it or solutions that can minimize it, if nothing else. Minimizing evil, I'll take that at this point. Just to minimize. That sounds crazy. I probably shouldn't have said that, but you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what Deepseek had to say. And just in case you forgot the question, let me ask it again. Is demonic influence real? If so, what does it look like? And remember, Deepseek is the Chinese AI, so let's see what they had to say. This is a profound and complex question that sits at the intersection of theology, psychology, anthropology, and personal belief. That's good because that's so true. There is no single, universally accepted answer, as perspectives vary dramatically. That's so true. And you know what's so funny is that so many religions accept that everybody's devil is different. But there are particularly a few religions that won't accept the fact that everybody's God can be different as well. And that is always something that has intrigued me. It's kind of like, understanding that we've been lied to about so many things, but still holding on to one lie because you don't want to let it go. It's like, hey, let it go. And again, if every religion can have a different devil, every religion can have a different God. It's only logical. Okay, let's continue. Here is a breakdown of the major viewpoints on what demonic influence is and what it is thought to look like. Okay, 1, the religious, theological perspective. In religions like Christianity, Islam, and others, demonic beings, fallen angels, jinn, evil spirits are considered real spiritual entities that oppose God and seek to harm humanity. Wait a second. I thought there were fallen angels that walk the earth. They don't necessarily have to go to hell. And fallen angels that walk the earth don't have to be demonic either. That's interesting. Okay, so from this viewpoint, demonic influence is a spectrum often described as oppression, a general external harassment affecting a person's life, health, relationships, or environment. This might manifest as persistent, unexplainable misfortune, intense and sudden temptations toward destructive behavior, pervasive feelings of despair or hatred, or recurring nightmares. Infestation, associated with a location or object causing paranormal activity, poltergeist phenomena, foul odors, physical manifestations, aimed at creating fear and driving inhabitants away. Obsession, an intense internal mental barrage of tormenting thoughts, images, or urges that feels alien to the person. This can include violent, blasphemous, or suicidal ideation that the individual feels is being imposed upon them. Possession, considered rare and extreme. The direct control of a person's body or faculties by a demonic entity. Classically described signs include a dramatic change in personality or voice, speaking or understanding languages unknown to the person, displaying supernatural strength or knowledge of hidden things, a violent aversion to sacred objects, names, or places, physical contortions or ailments with no medical cause. Important religious nuance. Mainstream Christianity and Islam strongly caution against seeing demons everywhere. They teach that most sin and struggle are the result of human free will and moral weakness, not demonic action. The consensus is to first rule out natural causes, which is medical and psychological, completely. 2, the psychological and medical perspective. Speaking of, modern psychology and psychiatry do not recognize demonic influence as a clinical reality. Symptoms traditionally attributed to demons are understood through other frameworks. That's interesting. Mental health conditions, symptoms of oppression or obsession closely mirrored those of depression, anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia, hearing voices, paranoia, delusions. Dissociative identity disorder, DID. This condition, where a person's identity fragments, can look strikingly similar to historical descriptions of possession, altering personalities, memory gaps, change voices. You know what? I think there was a movie about that. Was it Glass? No, Glass was with. What was the name of that? It was a movie where it was a guy. It was the guy from. Wow, I'm not gonna even try. But anyway, there was a movie that was made. I'm sure there's been a couple. I can remember two now that was made. That the star was a person that had many personalities, so they had fragmented identities basically. Let's continue. Alternating personalities, memory gaps, change voices. Yeah, it was all of that. I actually didn't. I don't like those type of movies, but that one was particularly interesting because the actor who played it, and I'm sure most of y'all are gonna know what I can't remember the name was. He did a pretty good job, and so someone else wanted to see it, so I went ahead and watched it, and not my cup of tea. I don't do horror flicks or those type of movies, but it was decent, so it was pretty good actually. Okay, sociocultural and psychosomatic effects. Belief in demons can be powerful. In a culture where such beliefs are strong, psychological distress can manifest in ways that conform to those expectations, a phenomenon known as culture-bound syndrome. Physical symptoms can also be produced by the mind. Psychosomatic illness. Physical symptoms produced by the mind. From this view, what it looks like is the manifestation of untreated mental or physical illness, and the appropriate response is therapy, medication, and compassionate care, not spiritual combat. Okay, 3. The anthropological sociocultural perspective. This view examines how the concept of demonic influence functions in societies. Explanation for suffering. It provides a framework for understanding unexplainable tragedy, mental illness, or moral failure. Social control. Allegations of demonic influence can be used to police social norms, suppress dissent, or marginalize outsiders. A language for trauma. For victims of abuse or profound trauma, the metaphor of being haunted or possessed by their past can be a powerful way to express an experience that feels alien and controlling. Okay. Ritual and healing. The rituals of exorcism or deliverance, regardless of one's belief in the little demon, can have real therapeutic power through the placebo effect, community support, and the narrative of expelling one's pain. What does it look like in practice? A synthesis. If we observe reported cases across cultures, common alleged features include. Okay, so what does demon possession look like? We're going to look at it across cultures. A radical negative personality shift, uncontrolled rage, withdrawal from loved ones, knowledge of abilities the person should not have, physical reactions to religious stimuli, violent recoiling, screaming during prayer, speaking in a different voice or language, unexplained physical phenomena, objects moving, scratches appearing, intense and specific aversions to holy water, sacred texts, etc. Wooden stakes. Okay, let's continue. Crucially, The modern, responsible approach, even within many faith traditions, is a dual diagnosis model. So, what does that mean? One, first, exhaust all natural explanations. A person exhibiting these signs must be evaluated by medical doctors and mental health professionals. Treating a brain tumor or schizophrenia as demonic possession is dangerous and unethical. Two, only after all medical and psychological causes are ruled out would some religious traditions then consider a spiritual cause. Okay, Deepseek's conclusion. Whether demonic influence is real depends entirely on your worldview. Its appearance is deeply filtered through cultural and religious lenses. To a believer, it is a real spiritual attack with discernible signs. To a psychologist, it is the manifestation of psychopathology understood through a cultural religious filter. To an anthropologist, it is a powerful social and narrative construct that explains human suffering. So the anthropologist, wow, that's different. It is a powerful social and narrative construct that explains human suffering. Okay. The most critical takeaway is that human suffering is real. The compassionate response is to address that suffering with the best tools available, whether those are medical, psychological, or for the believer, spiritual, applied with wisdom and discernment. Okay. Both of those had some really pointed out some great aspects of the different influences and how most people think that it looks. Okay, so how does any of this affect our daily lives? Well, as I hinted to earlier, I asked the question because of a need to better understand people who enjoy seeing others suffer or who enjoy putting suffering on others. I can't relate. And so I'm trying to better understand to see if there is some type of solution to change people. I mean, I did an episode on self-love. Don't make me try to remember what number that was. I think that self-love has a lot to do with how people treat others. If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, and if you don't treat yourself well, then there's usually no way that you're going to be able to do that for someone else. So I truly believe that self-love is definitely a part of the solution, but I just don't understand what makes people want to harm others just for the heck of it. I understand if someone's done something to you or said something mean to you, and those are just reactions that for us would be normal, but it's like, and not all people, I know everyone wants to say, well, people had bad childhoods, they were raped, they were, this and that. And yeah, a lot of people have had that, but not everybody ends up becoming dark in their soul. So it's like my desire is to better understand how people get to that point where they actually bring about suffering for others and enjoy it. I mean, to me, that's just, I can't relate. Okay, let's go ahead and move to our positive saying for today. And I do believe that it is positive. And let's see if I know who said it. Oh, yeah, Mark Twain. Okay, let's see which one this is. Okay, so this saying comes from Mark Twain, and it goes a little something like this. I would not interfere with anyone's religion, either to strengthen it or to weaken it. I am not able to believe one's religion can affect their hereafter one way or the other, no matter what that religion may be. But it may easily be a great comfort to him in this life, or to them in this life. Hence, it is a valuable possession to them. Okay, I get that. Let me read it one more time. I would not interfere with anyone's religion, either to strengthen it or to weaken it. I am not able to believe one's religion can affect their hereafter any way or the other, no matter what that religion may be. But it may easily be a great comfort to them in this life. Hence, it is a valuable possession to them. Okay, I got that. That's good. That is utmost respect, because he's speaking from a person who is a non-believer, but showing respect. Showing not just respect. Yeah. Oh, yeah, let's touch on that. Okay, so yeah, he's showing respect to people who do believe, stating that he's not going to talk bad about the religion. He's not going to talk good about it, because he personally doesn't believe it, but he's respecting it because in this life, it's a valuable possession to that person. And I feel as though anything that someone believes is going to help them to be their best selves, by all means. My only thing is that that's your belief. You don't force your belief on others. That's not right. That is not right. And I mean, in Africa, those of us, our ancestors who were taken as slaves, we don't have a culture, and we had to invent a culture in the United States because our natural religions, our natural beliefs were taken away from us and something else was forced upon us. No one has the right to do that to another people, ever. Your belief is your belief. If it brings you comfort, if it's of value for you in this life, so be it. Congratulations. More power to you. But you don't force your belief on anyone else. Okay, that's all I have for this episode number 82. Thank you so very much for giving me about 28 minutes of your time. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We the people have the power. Peace. See you next episode.